Hey guys, welcome to the third real episode of TCGTips. The second episode was posted on my friend Mr. Zekrom Master's channel. It was about Duran, so definitely go check that out. This episode, however, will be on Eelektrik, which is probably the most, versatile electric card out right now. Its ability is the real kicker. It's a stage 1 with 90 HP and a 2 retreat cost, which isn't that good, and its attack sucks. However, its Poke Power makes up for all of that. Dynamotor lets you take an electric energy from the discard pile and put it on one of your benched Pokemon. This is really helpful in a lot of decks, and it just works well with electric types, since electric is just a very, very popular deck type right now. Its 2 retreat cost will be very annoying when it's catchered, and we'll get into that later, but electric is really good and really, really versatile, so yeah, electric's awesome, man. Magnezone Prime is probably the most easily seen partner for electric. It's probably the most powerful when used right, but also the hardest to pull off. Its ability, Poke Power, Magnetic Draw. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. This gives you a good hand size. 140 HP, and he's a stage 2. His retreat cost is 3, which could be a problem, actually, for this deck, but we'll get into that later. Its attack, Lost Burn, is the real kicker for a colorless and an electric. It does 50 damage times the amount of energy on your bench Pokemon, and then you put those into Lost Zone, or any Pokemon in general. So it's really good for getting lightning energies on your bench Pokemon. Raichu is also a pretty obvious partner for electric, and extremely fast if you utilize it right. Its power, voltage increase, as often as you like during your turn, you may move electric energy attaching one of your Pokemon to Raichu. This is extremely good, since Raichu is technically just a Zekrom with less HP. Its attack, Mega Thunderbolt, for 2 electrics and a colorless, does 120, but then you discard all energy attached to him. So it's pretty good. It only has 100 HP, sure, but it's quick. And it's good for early game. And inside a deck like this, if you're trying to do Raichu, well then, you're going to use Zekrom for late game. Zekrom's the same thing as Raichu, give or take a few differences. He's a basic 130 HP, epic full art. His Bolt Strike attack's a little different, still does 120 damage there, but you have to do 40 to yourself, which actually could help out with his Outrage attack. For a double colorless, you can do 20 plus however many damage is on Zekrom. Zekrom EX is just a better partner for, Raichu and Magnezone. He just is stronger, he's got a more retreat cost, sure, which kind of sucks, but his attacks are just naturally stronger and work better with Dynamotor. His first attack isn't to brag about, but then his second attack is something to be, you should be steady of it. 2 electrics and a colorless, you do 150. Discard 2 energy attached to that Pokemon then. So it's good for Dynamotor if Zekrom EX is on the bench and if you want to power him up. It could also be really helpful if you maybe run some Energy Search, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just take your chances with the switches if I were you. Zekrom EX is just a good partner to Electric also, but I don't think it can be a deck on its own, really. Lantern is a thing that I haven't been seeing in Electric at all, and it makes me upset, frankly, because he can change type, which makes it so we can defeat Reshifusion decks and Doniphan decks with ease. He can change to a water type anytime he wants, and his attack, Powerful Spark, does a decent amount of damage for a low amount of energy. Double colorless and electric does 40 plus 10 for each energy attached to all your Pokemon. So that is pretty good, and I wish I could see Lantern in more decks, actually. So yeah, Lantern's still a good choice. I mean, you're going to want to run Collector and Duel Ball in this deck, especially if you're doing Raichu, because you're going to really want to be consistent and quick. Especially with Magnezone also, because, you're going to want to get your stage 2s out as quick as possible, and of course you're going to want to run like Rare Candies, 3-1-3 line, whatever. I like running 4 electric. So yeah, Duel Ball and Collector are pretty essential in this deck. Junk Arm. This card is especially good in this deck. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your discard pile, get a trainer card. It's really good and should be played in any deck, but then you can discard energies for Electric, which is good for her Eel Zone since it has no attacks that directly discard energy. Same goes for Sage's Training. It's pretty similar to Junk Arm. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose any 2 cards you find there, and then discard the rest. That's good for discarding those energies, and it's also good for just getting cards you need. Sage's Training is a card that I see underutilized, but I think it could be very, very, very good in this deck. Dynamo is a big problem. Why? He has so little HP, so he can get one-shotted pretty easily and catchered. Eelektrik is a little bit harder to kill, but Dynamo is still a problem. Since she's going to get one-shotted by pretty much everything, you're going to want to match that with at least 3 or 4 catchers in your deck for easy prizes at the beginning of the game with Raichu. Or whatever you're doing. or Lantern or whatever. Pokemon Catcher is also important in every deck, but, you know, in this deck it's good because you want to really get a good start, or else it could really just kind of affect how you play. So, yeah, that's important. Switch is also pretty important in this deck. Since you want to switch out those Electriks when they're catchered and the Zekrom EXs right away, it's really helpful since Dynamotor doesn't, since you can't Dynamotor to active Pokemon, only bench. So, yeah. I hope you learned a lot about Eelektrik today. He's a very, very versatile and very, 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 very strong Pokemon when used correctly. I feel like there are a lot of decks that aren't being used so far, but, you know, Eelektrik is a new card, so we have to give him some time, and I have a feeling that he's just going to be a complete beast later on in other formats. And that was my end of my 3rd episode of TCG Tips. If you liked, rate, comment, subscribe. I don't think Mr. Zekrom Master is PokeTubing anymore, so I'm not so sure if he's going to do TCG Chips anymore. However, the Poke Collector 14 might help me out. So thank you for watching, and see you later.